You would think that after more than 6 months, the controversies surrounding Amazon's Rings of Power would have been done. It would have all subsided by now. However, we would be wrong. In the last few days, news has been breaking of probably one of the weirdest fantasy book situations that I've ever heard of. And at the center of all of it is Rings of Power and a $250 million lawsuit. What's shaking? My name's Cam, welcome back to another video. I make and have made lots of videos about fantasy books, so if that's your kind of thing, stick around, I would love to have you here. Sorry for the deep V, this is literally as much as this shirt buttons up. It's a summer shirt, I live in Australia, okay? Give me a break. So, I'm sure you're aware of it, but if you don't know, Rings of Power is let's say a loose adaptation of J.R.R. Tolkien's Silmarillion, which takes place a very, very long time before Lord of the Rings. The purpose of this video isn't to dunk on the Rings of Power. It's been like 7 months, dude, and there's still video essays coming out every few days about how bad it is. Personally, I just want to move on from that. Without knowing the details of this lawsuit, you might even be inclined to instantly agree with the person that is suing Rings of Power and Amazon and, quite frankly, the Tolkien estate, basically anyone who was behind this show. But wait, the major criticism around the show was that it deviated too wildly from the source material in order to please modern audiences. Whether you think that's true or not, it doesn't matter, that's not what this is about. Again, this is not a Rings of Power bad video. There is, however, at least one person out there who thinks that Rings of Power stuck very closely to the source material. Too closely, in fact. The only problem being, it wasn't Tolkien's source material, it was his. This is Demetrius Polychron, and he wrote a book called The Fellowship of the King. Fellowship of the King. Demetrius believes that Rings of Power lifted their plotline from his book, or his planned series. I'm guessing the grounds for them stealing his ideas is from the fact that apparently he sent some letters to the Tolkien family back in 2017, telling them about his planned book series. He apparently asked the Tolkien family to collaborate with him on this series and obviously provide him a license to be profiting off of this series. But much like that ex-girlfriend that you keep texting at 2 AM after you've had a few too many drinks, they never replied. So that's the situation on the surface. That's the grounds of the $250 million lawsuit. But it gets weirder. I'm going to read out for you the blurb on the back of Fellowship of the King, and I want you to try and spot the difference between this story and Rings of Power. Long before Sauron, the original Rings of Power were forged by the elven lord Celebrimbor and dwarven smith Narvi in Eregion, near the Misty Mountains. These first magic rings were far more powerful than those that came after, and they were corrupted by Sauron to be fought in the War of the Ring. Eleanor, daughter of Samwise, is nervous before her debutante party in the Shire. In her 22nd year of the reign of the High King, Elisar, the Blue Wizards return from out of the east, bearing grave and perilous news. The rest of the Rings of Power have been found and they are in deadly danger. Thus begins the War of the Rings to end all wars of the rings. Before it is over, elves, hobbits, dwarves, men, and magical races long forgotten or never seen before will join in the quest to find Celebrimbor's originals and the last of Sauron's corrupted Rings of Power. If you are familiar with the show Rings of Power, I feel like it's very obvious that there are almost literally no similarities between this story and the show. Unless you just want to say that literally just the idea of having Rings of Power in a story set in Middle-earth is too much of a coincidence and constitutes copyright infringement. For one, these two stories are set within the same world, thousands of years apart. Now, one question might be popping into your head, or has already popped into your head as I've been talking about this. Wait a minute, if the Tolkien estate never replied, how did Demetrius get a license to publish this series that is very clearly not just inspired by, but blatantly using Tolkien's IP? The answer is, allegedly, he didn't. He just didn't, I guess. To be clear, I have absolutely no issue whatsoever with fanfiction. I think it's great. I think fanfiction is an awesome outlet for creative people to create stories that they want to see within worlds that they already love. I don't even see the issue necessarily if people profit a bit from their fanfiction, within reason, but writing a fanfiction and putting it up on Wattpad versus actually physically publishing a book series and then going on to sue the people who actually have the license is god tier levels of goofy, dude. See, the issue for Demetrius now is that not only is he trying to sue one of the most wealthy, profitable, and powerful companies on the entire planet, but he's suing them for something that they can very easily turn around and countersue him for. That thing being straight up, unfiltered, legs spread wide plagiarism. It's just kind of wild to me that this was his thought process, that Amazon, of all companies who are known for being very petty and pretty, let's just say, shady in the way they deal with stuff, his idea was to sue them for using IP material that they have a license to and he doesn't. So what's the conclusion here? Look, I'm no legal eagle, but I have more faith that Salma Hayek will slide into my DMs than Demetrius winning this $250 million lawsuit. Not only do I think he's going to lose, but I also think Amazon, being Amazon, are going to be extra petty, and they're going to bury him in countersuits. I'm actually almost convinced that the entire purpose of all of this was just to create a controversy and bring a ton of attention to his book, Fellowship of the King. And, you know, bravo, it worked. But the financial and reputation repercussions of doing this is pretty baffling. I can't see how that's a positive exchange in any way. The whole thing's just weird, man. It's really weird. I'm very interested to see how Amazon deals with this, because it's Amazon. They're going to bring the hammer down. Anyway, that's the situation. What do you think? Thanks so much for watching, especially for watching through to the end of the video. You are my favorite. I make lots of videos about fantasy books, you know, reviews, discussions, that kind of stuff, so if that's your kind of thing, then I would love it if you stuck around. Otherwise, thanks for watching this one. Maybe I'll see you in the next. Catch ya.